I think I got the best pie maker in the county back here. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. We're in the kitchen again today, and we are going. This is kind of a homestead kitchen skills video here, because there really isn't more of a homesteading meal, I don't think, than a beautiful shepherd's pie recipe, a homemade shepherd's pie recipe. I mean, it smells so warm and like relaxing in here right now. Angela's browning the beef as we speak. It just smells so good, and all I know how to do is eat it. Angela knows how to make it, so I'm gonna allow her to tell you what she's doing, okay?
Now you want to start by peeling and slicing I did about 6 to 7 small to medium potatoes, and you need to get those on first because they're going to take the longest to cook. And
so you gotta get potatoes boiling.
Just get them boiling like I just showed you how to do in the mashed potato video, because that's what you're doing. You're making mashed potatoes. But there's a few alterations you need to do to those, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. But you need to get those on cooking in some salted water.
They're over there.
They're over here. And now in this deep saute, I'm using a deep saute, that way I can just, when this part is all done, I can just put the mashed potatoes on top, pop this into the oven the way it is, and don't have to put it into a casserole dish or anything like that. But you can use a skillet or whatever you would like.
So if you were to use a casserole dish, what size casserole dish would you put this in? A 13 by 9?
Probably a 13 by 9.
Okay.
I have 1.5 pounds of ground chuck here. This is 80/20 because I don't want a ton of fat, but you do want a little bit of fat because you want that flavor. So I'm using 80/20, and I've just salt and peppered it really good, and I'm browning it up. When it gets to the point that it's almost done, you want to add, this is 3 carrots that I've chopped, and this is about 1/2 of a large onion. And you want to go ahead and add all those in when your beef is almost done. That way your carrots and your onions can get done while your beef is finishing up. This is actually super simple, but there are a few little differences that I do here that I think makes it much better. But there are some recipes out there for shepherd's pie that I do not consider to be shepherd's pie, because I'm very picky about shepherd's pie. There are some people that make shepherd's pie and it's just vegetables and beef with potatoes on top. There is no gravy there. You have to have a gravy.
Make gravy in it.
You have to have a gravy to go. I mean, come on, people. It's not shepherd's pie if it don't have a gravy. Now, authentic shepherd's pie may not have a gravy. I don't know. But I want the gravy. So, I'm going to teach you those little tricks to make it a really good shepherd's pie. So now we're going to just let the beef finish up and the carrots and onions get all nice and tender, and then I'll show you the next step. Now our beef is all done, and our potatoes and potatoes, Angela. Our carrots and onions are all tender. Now I'm going to add, this is 4 cloves of garlic. If you don't like garlic as much as we do, you can put less. If you don't have garlic, you can use garlic powder, but I think it turns out so much better with fresh garlic. And we always have garlic because we grow it. And homegrown garlic is the best. It really is. And you want to stir that in and just fry it up in there. And now you're ready for the next step. And all this time, please keep an eye on your potatoes for when they're tender. So now to this, we are going to add, this is some of these little tricks that I told you I would teach you. We are going to add about 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. It's not going to taste tomatoey. It's
we use stuff out of the tube.
yes. It's not going to taste tomatoey. It's just going to add a depth of flavor. Now you want to fry that in.
Now this one says double concentrated. Is that different than candy tomato paste?
Not really.
Okay. So this is what we use.
Now once you get all that stirred in and fried in, now you are going to add another secret ingredient that I think makes a huge difference. I am going to add in about a tablespoon of Worcestershire, what's this here sauce? And as you can see, I'm not really measuring. It's roughly a tablespoon. But it makes all the difference in the flavor. It just adds so much flavor, and the minute it hits the pan, it just makes all the difference in the taste and smell. Yes, I usually in pairings, it's my favorite. It has so much better flavor. Now we're going to start making our gravy. I have 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour here. You're just going to sprinkle it in. You notice I didn't drain the beef because you need that fat to help you make your gravy. Because essentially you're making a roux around your veggies and beef. And yes, I am going to add more veggies.
Yeah.
But you add those after you make your gravy.
Because they don't take as long to cook as the carrots.
Yes,
right?
because I'm just using frozen veggies for the rest of it.
Exactly.
Now, you want to scrape the bottom of your pot, get up as much as you can of that stuff, but it will come up when you add your next step. Yeah. See now, it's getting kind of pasty. That's what you want. Now here we have 2 cups of beef broth. I may or may not use all of it. It depends on how much it takes. Sometimes it'll take more, sometimes it takes less. So I'm going to add about a cup to start off with and see what it takes. Now you want to stir it in. You just don't want a thin gravy. You want a nice thick gravy. So that's the reason it may not take all of it. You just want to make sure you have a nice thick gravy that coats your meat and coats your vegetables really well. Okay, you see it thickened up really nicely, so I'm going to add about half a cup more, and we'll see how quickly it absorbs this and how thick it gets. See if we need to thin it out any, or if it's good like it is. And like I said, scrape the bottom. All that brown on the bottom is flavor. So you want to scrape all that brown and see you're getting a nice thick gravy. And at this point, you want to be sure and taste it for seasoning. I'm going to add just a little bit more salt. Not a ton, just a little bit. And some good black pepper. Because this can take on some black pepper. And as you can see, it's getting nice and thick again. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. Not much, because you don't want a loose runny gravy. I've probably used a total of about a cup and a half. And that's probably about all we're going to need. Like I said, it depends on your beef. It depends on how much juice your veggies release. But I always err on the side of having 2 cups ready in case I need 2 cups. And now you've got a beautiful thick gravy. This ain't gonna be no dry shepherd's pie. To me, nothing ruins a shepherd's pie like it being dry. Or, on the opposite end, the gravy being too loose and runny.
But some chunky taters would ruin it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Now, you can add your choice of veggies here. You can add corn, you can add peas, you can add green beans.
Right.
What I like to go with the carrots and the onions and everything, I like peas. So I add about a cup of frozen peas. And I'm just adding them straight out of the freezer. Because they will thaw in here. This is very hot. They will thaw nicely.
And if you put them in there too long, honestly, they'd be mushy in there and it wouldn't be as good, right?
Yes.
I mean, so like frozen peas we like to use. We don't use canned peas here, just because they're too mushy for us.
Yes. And I'm going to add just a smidge more of my broth, just to loosen it up. But don't add too much, because remember, those peas will release liquid. And that is your beautiful filling. And it smells amazing. This meal right here, while I'm making it, just makes my mouth water. It smells so comforting and delicious. So now we'll go make our mashed potatoes, and I will show you the tricks to making good mashed potatoes for shepherd's pie, because there are a few tricks. Okay, I've got my potatoes. They're all cooked, and I put them back on the heat like I showed you in the mashed potato video, to lick up all that water, so the heat will lick up all the water.
So once they're drained, once you drain the fluid out, you put it back on the heat to finish.
On about medium heat.
Right, gotcha.
Until you see all that water, all that excess water is gone.
Not for very long though.
No, just it's about a minute or less.
Right. Okay.
And I took a hand masher and started mashing them up with some salt. Now I'm going to add in about 3 to 4 tablespoons of salted butter. Now, the key to making good mashed potatoes for shepherd's pie is you want them stiffer than you would eat them off a plate.
Right.
Otherwise, if you do the creamy, fluffy ones, they're just going to melt into your gravy, and you're going to have no mashed potatoes on top. So you want them stiffer. So there's some keys to getting them that way. Now you want to mash in all that butter. So you don't want to overdo it with the butter or the cream.
Which is tempting to do.
Yes, it is. Now you want to add in some heavy cream. I'm using heavy cream. You can use milk. If you don't have heavy cream, you can also use half and half. I just like the richness that heavy cream adds. And that was just probably a couple of tablespoons. I added just a little bit more heavy cream. It's probably about 3 tablespoons is all I've added.
Very little.
And see, you don't want them completely smooth. I mean, fluffy. You don't want them like that. Now, you want to add in the salt and pepper that you need right now at this point, because this is your last season. Now you just want to stir that in, and see, they're a little stiffer than what you would normally eat them off a plate. And I'm not going to take a whisk to them this time, because that would make them too fluffy and too creamy. And you don't want that for shepherd's pie.
You want them smooth.
You want them smooth.
But not standalone creamy and fluffy. Right.
Now, for the thing that is going to make them stiff enough to stand up to this, it also adds great richness, and it works great with this.
Really a stroke of genius, to be honest with you.
This is 1 large egg yolk. I know that sounds a little kooky.
Stroke of genius, to be honest with you.
But it works.
It's brilliant.
And your egg yolk does get cooked, because your potatoes are really hot.
Or you can put that down too.
And you're also going to put it in your 375 degree preheated oven, which I forgot to tell you to preheat. And see, that yolk was so rich that it made our potatoes very yellow.
Oh, you got yellow taters.
Now, if you're...
Is that Madeline's fault?
No, that was Tootie.
Tootie's fault.
That was Tootie.
Tootie's fault.
But it makes your potatoes so rich and so stable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes them so stable on top of your shepherd's pie.
Be an interesting trick if you're just doing standalone taters.
It probably would be, in all honesty. It probably would be a great trick for that.
Yeah.
And it adds such richness. So now we're going to bring over our filling, and we're going to, which I've been keeping. You want to keep that filling while you're mashing your potatoes. You want to keep that filling on low heat. That way it continues to stay warm. That way you don't have to bake it in the oven for very long. Now there's our beautiful filling. And it's all warm and ready, and our potatoes are still hot. so that it's not going to have to bake for very long at all, because you're doing only hot ingredients. So now I'm going to just dollop our potatoes on there. And you want to dollop them pretty evenly. I am going to spread them around a little bit. But you don't want to put a big glob, because if you do, it's just going to start mixing with your gravy when you go to spread it. So you want to be a little more precise with this, so that you get a good clean layer of mashed potatoes on top. And like I said, at this point, if you just did it in a skillet instead of something deep like this, you can just transfer it. You can just transfer your filling to a 13 by 9, and then you can just top that with the potatoes. But why dirty up more dishes than you have to?
Now, why is somebody trying to do this in a cast iron? Is cast iron still deep enough for this?
Some of them probably are.
Okay. Like a larger cast iron skillet.
Yes.
Okay. If that's the way you want to cook, which we do a lot.
It has to be deep.
Yeah.
You also want to make sure that if you're doing it in cast iron, you want to make sure that it's very seasoned.
Yeah.
Because you don't want this to stick.
Yeah. Right. Makes sense.
Now you want to take your spoon and spread them around. You want to spread it around real nice. And as you can see, your potatoes, because of that egg, because of that one egg yolk, your potatoes are nice and stiff, and are gonna see, they're not mixing in.
Yep.
They're just coating the top with a nice layer of mashed potatoes.
This is why I say you're a genius.
No. Now, this is to get those browned edges, because otherwise mashed potatoes don't really want to brown. If you run a fork through them, you get these raised up edges, and those are going to brown. And you want that to brown, because when your mashed potatoes brown, you get an amazing flavor.
It's a really nice look, but it's also really tasty.
Now we are going to throw this in the oven just for literally just a few minutes.
375 degree oven.
375, just for because everything's already hot, just until your potatoes start to brown a little bit. Look at that deliciousness.
That's beautiful.
See, that's the reason I did that little trick with the fork, is because all those ridges get nice and brown.
Nice.
And crusty. I only baked this because I kept everything so hot. That's the key to not baking this for long. Keep everything hot, and it only baked for 10 minutes, and it had already started bubbling around the edges at 10 minutes. Then I turned it on broil, and I broiled it so that the top would get nice and brown like this, which you want to make sure you have a broiler safe pan.
Yeah, that's true too. Glass baking dishes are
Glass baking dishes are not broiler safe.
There's some horror stories out there of people's baking dishes exploding.
Yes.
So be careful.
So be careful. I put this under the broiler then for about 5 more minutes until I got this nice brown top.
Nice.
And it smells insane.
Okay. Alright. Time for me to taste, ain't it?
Yes.
Alrighty. Alright, we've got a good bite here. Look at that. Look at that beautiful bite. Mmm. Yep. You know what? Ernest T. Bass said he's the best rock thrower in the county. I think I got the best pie maker in the county back there. And I'm the best pie maker in the county. That's what she used to say if she was Ernest T. Bass. But it's awesome. What a beautiful, beautiful dish. So comforting. It's like you're going to eat a plate full of this and then go take a nap. And like sleep for 8 hours at least. I don't know what that feels like, but I bet it feels good. But so thank you guys so much for watching. This is an awesome shepherd's pie recipe. You're not gonna beat it, and it's so delicious. And it's certainly a homestead style kitchen skill without a doubt. So thanks for watching. We do appreciate it. My name is Jason. That's Angela Kay. We love you guys. God bless you and goodbye.